So last month I made that half of a flower pot mold by using this whole vase mold. And what I did was I filled the vase mold up halfway, put it on its side, and put a piece of tape to block it from spilling out. But I thought, wouldn't that be cool if I could just make my own mold of it by using this existing one, and then I wouldn't have to pour it sideways every time and risk it all dripping out. Want to see the details of how I did that and held it in? It's video 347. And that's when I decided to try to make a silicone mold for it. I knew to make the mold that I would have to have one side real flat, and so I just took it out to the garage and sanded it down with the Dremel. Be sure to wear a mask whenever you're sanding resin. And then I just cleaned it off real well so that there wasn't any dust or debris left behind. So next is where I made a bunch of mistakes. So the first thing is you're supposed to put it on a sticky surface, and I didn't realize that. I guess I didn't read the directions, I didn't watch any videos, or the videos I watched, I didn't have any sound to it, or I don't know what. So here I am putting it on a piece of wax paper. And then I had purchased this mold making frame on Amazon, and I just went ahead and connected that all together. I know that they say you have to have at least a 1/4 inch on each side. And I flipped it over, and it came with this two-sided tape, which was fairly thin, but I put it all the way around the edges so that it would completely seal to the wax paper. Well, I don't think that was the best idea. I've since learned that even with that, you should seal around the edges with hot glue. So now I was ready to mix the silicone. So the silicone I'm using for this project is the Let's Resin silicone, and it is measured by weight, not volume. So you do need a little scale to measure it. I measured out equal amounts, mixed it for 3 minutes, and then started to pour it into the mold. And then my next mistake was I didn't mix up enough. So once I got this in, I realized that I needed it a little bit higher, and I started mixing up some more. And then thinking everything is going well as I'm mixing up this resin, if you can look where my red arrow is pointing, it just starts seeping out. And it was seeping out on this side and on the other side, and I didn't realize it. It was just making a mess. And evidently I didn't even notice it was leaking out as I was pouring my second cup of resin in there. And once I did, I went into a panic and I started pushing it down, trying to think of what I could do to hold this down. And finally I picked up my tub that had 2 heavy resin containers in it and put it on top and just prayed that that would work. And then here it is the next morning, and believe it or not, the silicone stayed high enough that it covered up the half vase, and I was able to use it. So that was one lesson learned. So then I used a razor blade to take off the extra silicone and left that strip down the middle because that's what's going to leave the opening when you pour your resin. And that's what, when you put it on a canvas, you would put your little glass stems down there. And had I stuck it to paper or used sticky paper, that extra resin would not have ended up there. I wouldn't have had to cut any away. So then to try it out, I went ahead and I mixed up some resin with some Let's Resin chameleon flakes, poured it into the mold, and it is sitting on my resiner's curing machine. So it only took 2 hours to cure. So I decided to try another one, and this time I had this little glass crystal sparkly hedgehog, and I decided I was going to try that, and I used my Let's Resin silicone rubber again, mixed it up by weight, and then I had a small mold, and I decided I'm going to use this instead. This way nothing can escape. And I decided I wasn't sure, although it did not stick to the silicone mat, I didn't know if I would ruin this mat silicone mold, so I decided to put some plastic wrap in it. And I just put it in the bottom, put my little hedgehog in the bottom, feet down, flat side down. I did not glue it down or anything. By this point, I still hadn't read that you're supposed to put it on something sticky. And I poured the silicone over it. So the next day I just popped it out of the silicone mold. And if anybody knows anything about silicone molds, if you can pour this silicone into it and it won't stick, let me know. So anyway, I used the razor and made an opening and then pulled the little hedgehog out. And honestly, it turned out to be a really nice mold. The plastic wrap kind of made it an ugly mold, but that was just on the outside. It doesn't really matter what it looks like on the outside as long as it sits level. So I did have to take the razor and go around the edges and the bottom to make sure there wasn't any extra resin sticking out, because you want it to sit level so that you're able to pour the resin and the resin sits in there level. And I think it worked out really good. And surprisingly, they both ended up turning out real nice. This one came out fairly easily, and I painted them, the nose and the eyes, black. I think I have to put a little bit more on, but honestly, the one is just as sparkly as the glass one, I think. Just as sparkly and pretty. I can tell the difference only because one is heavier than the other. There is a slight difference in coloration, but I think the clearer, brighter one is actually the resin one. And look at how clear that resin is. That's actually Bond Crafter resin. It is so pretty and sparkly. I'm really excited. I want to try a few more. Hey everyone, so I ended up with 2 good molds. This one, almost a complete disaster. Did not read the instructions. I should have put something sticky underneath, put the tape on, stuck the tape to the sticky mat, and then they say you really should put glue around the outside also. So that was totally my fault. Luckily, I thought to put something really heavy on it to weight it down, and I had enough to be able to make this mold. So this is the half a vase that came out of it, and I'm going to try to make a couple other molds. I thought that was really cool. Instead of having to, I mean, that works if you want to look back at my other video by setting the vase mold on its side and putting the tape. You'll have to watch it and see how I hold the tape on there, but because nothing sticks to silicone. I figured that out. But anyway, so I thought that turned out cool. But my favorite thing was I had been watching, or actually I got some molds that were into resin molds that have all these special effects on it. I did that video last week or so, and I thought that is so cool. So I thought, well, wouldn't that be neat if we could try to make our own molds using some different things that would put the special crystal or diamond effect on it. And so I gotta look to see because I can't. Okay, so this is the original. This is the original one. And isn't that pretty? And this is what I recreated, making the mold. And I think it's just as sparkly and pretty, and look at that. That's that Bond Crafter resin. Look at how crystal clear that is. People underestimate it. They think just because a resin is less expensive that it's not a good resin, and that is not true. And they're not paying me to say this, but I mean, right now it's $29.99 for a gallon of resin. Where can you find a gallon of resin for $29.99 that's crystal clear like that? I don't know. So anyway, that's what I used for it. I tried out another great resin. The Let's Resin is also a good resin. I'm just saying that sometimes just because it's less expensive does not mean that it's a cheap resin or it will not do as well. So I experiment with a lot of different resins for different purposes, and that's really what I found. So the only way that I can really tell the difference between these two, there is a little bit of a color difference. To me, the glass one looks almost a little yellowy, but it's a lot lighter. But to me, this looks like glass. I thought it was so cool that I was able to do that. And I'm going to be experimenting with some other special effect things like crystal things that would give a nice sparkly effect, because I tell you what, those, if you've never checked out those Into Resin molds, they have some really cool crystal effect molds. I don't know what you call them, diamond, crystal, and I have a 20% discount code in my description. Well, it's Crazy Glass Lady is the discount code for the Into Resin molds, and also for the Let's Resin silicone. I have a discount code for that also, so check it out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new. Read the directions before you start any projects. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. That really helps the channel. I have over 350 glass and resin art videos, all different things. There's got to be something that you like. A lot of them are very beginner friendly. And I have a Facebook page going, an amazing group over there. Everybody is so friendly and helpful. If you're a beginner, I tell you what, everybody will help you out. Very nice. Come check us out there, and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching.